Greetings of the day. In this video, we are going to discuss the basics of C programming that is essential for understanding the concepts of data structures. C is a versatile programming language known for its efficiency and close to hardware capabilities. It was developed in early 1970s and widely used in system programming and embedded systems. Its syntax influenced many modern languages, making it a solid foundation for understanding the programming concepts. In this video, we will understand the basics of C, wherein we will be discussing about variables, data types, and the different operators in case of C, C language. Under program constructs, we shall discuss about the different decision-making statements and looping statements. Functions play a very important role in defining data structures. So we will understand the importance and the syntaxes involved in writing functions in C programming. So first, let us start with a simple hello world program through which we will understand the outline of any C program. The basic steps involved in writing any C program would be the first step is to edit, which could be done using any of the IDE tools. The second step involves the compilation, wherein we are going to look for any syntax error. The third step in running a C program is running in the debug mode. So let's look at a simple example to understand these three steps. So here is a sample C program which consists of the preprocessor directives. The first step or the first line, the first segment of any C program would consist of preprocessor directives, which is going to include the required header files in the program. Printf is a function that is used to print or that is used to output a certain set of characters into the output console. So this printf function is defined in standard input-output header file. Every C program is written as a part of a main function. So this becomes the sample C program structure. Next, let us look at what are variables. So variables in programming languages are used to hold the value of any data. They are the symbolic names for memory location that store data. Before we use any data in our program, it is very important that we declare variables to specify the data type. For example, I have a variable called as a. So int a represents that a is an integer of type int. So now let's look at an example program to understand the various variables. So first we have a integer variable, floating point variable, char variable, and double variable. So different format specifiers are used to print the respective variables. So from this set of code, we can understand that the basic syntax of defining a data type or a variable is a data type followed by the variable name. So as we can see here, we have int, which is a data type, a is a variable name. So while defining variable names, it is very important that you follow certain rules. So rules of naming variable plays a very important step because if you if the names doesn't follow the rules, so we get errors. So the valid characters include the letters, digits, and underscore. Keywords could not be used for defining the variable names. The names in C, the variable names in C are case sensitive. So these are some of the important rules to be followed while naming a variable. Next, let's understand the data types. So data type is a very important part in any programming language. So let's understand the common data types that are present in C programming. So whenever we say data type, so what is the importance of data types? So let's understand that first before we move on to the common data types. So data types help us in understanding the memory location. So it decides how much of memory has to be allocated for a particular variable. So the next important requirement for knowing the data type is that data integrity. So it ensures that the data stored in variables are in the correct format, preventing from unexpected errors or results. The data types also help us in portability because it is very important that whenever a code is transformed or run across different systems and compilers, the size and representation of data may vary. So it is very important to specify the data type of a particular variable. So now let's look at what are the common data types in C. So we have three classification of data types: the primary, the derived, and the user defined. So let's discuss each one of them in detail. As discussed in the previous slide, the memory allocation and the range are one or two of the most important applications of specifying the data type. So now signed char is a data type and the range of values that it can take is minus 128 to plus 127. The amount of memory that is allocated for a signed char variable is 1. So sizes and ranges of some of the data types like int, short, and long are compiler dependent, and the sizes are in this table corresponds to a 16-bit compiler. So it is always safe to use the size of operator to know the data, to know the amount of memory that is allocated for a particular variable. So which we will look at in the upcoming slides. So constants play a very important role in writing a more maintainable and readability code. So now let's look at a simple example to define a constant in our program. So defining constants improves the readability of the program. So now max value is a integer constant whose value is 100. So in the course of program, if I try to change the value of the max value, it will give me an error. So there are two ways of defining a constant. So one way is to use the const keyword as shown in line 4 and 5. The other way to define constants is using the as defined directive. So as defined directive is could also be used to define constants. So what is the difference between these two methods of defining constants is as defined directive would not use any memory location, but a const variable would use a memory location to store its value. So these are the two ways of defining constants in C programming. And as we can see here, it improves the readability of the program. The second advantage is, let's assume max value appears multiple times in the program. So it is very easy to replace all the values just by changing the value here. So these are the two advantages of using constants in our program. You could also have you could also define integer constants of different base systems, that is decimal, octal, and hexadecimal. Next, let's move on to the operators in C programming. So the most important and the basic operators in arithmetic operators. Among them, the most important data type operator would be a modulus operator. So now let's look at an example program to understand the various operators in